Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into my 4th Autumn 2025 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, trying to bring you more autumn data up to update number 4. We had a little pause, of course, in the autumn updates past week or two, but we're now back in business with them, and back on a Sunday as well with the long range. And I should get up with your 4th autumn update, which is going to be a June data special in a moment. Just say that first, a British Day was our 6 UK weather forecast. It's 10-14 day and way later on today. Like, share, and subscribe on all today's videos and content. Show everyone. But dear map, guess what? It's so much. I love it. So much. So, Ricardo. Thanks so much for the amazing Richard Shaw for our autumn updates gift. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Rich. I love the autumn updates gifts and thank you so much. They're my favourites, actually, because they're always so vibrant and colourful. And thank you so much, of course, to Schreier Bruin as well for sorting out the years. Thank you so much to Terry Scully as well, got a hand on the shoulder. Hashtag Team Gab, amazing job. As always, guys, thank you so much. Okay, let's do this then. We're going to start off, I said it's June day special. We're going to start off central in temperature. So, CT for June came in at a nice round 17 degrees, 17.0. That was 2.9 degrees, nearly 3 degrees above 61 to 1990 average. It is within the top 10 hottest Junes since 1950. Not the hottest in the all-time CT record. That goes back into the 1800s because we don't show data from the 1800s anymore in the long range update. So it's within the top 10 warmest since 1950. Would be within the top 10 warmest throughout the entire CT record as well. Right, let's have a look then. So I'm going to start off with number 10. And that one is 2005 actually. So the autumn of 2005 looks like this, with high pressure over and to the east country, winds coming in from that very warm easterly direction. So that was a very warm autumn. Also has a lot of southerly southeasterly winds. We do see, don't really get it from the analogue because it looks like it should be quite a dry autumn. There are some pretty wet periods as well. And then late November, though, it all flips on its head. So actually, it actually turns quite cold in the second half of November. At number 9, the ninth warmest June, when you're talking about Gav, the ninth warmest June in 2003. So number 9 got autumn 2003. Again, with high pressure in the North Atlantic going up towards Greenland. Trough flow through west of Europe as well. Jet stream wind flow doing something a little bit like that. Very warm in September, remaining dry. Turns cooler late September. October's rather cool month actually. And then November 2003 rather damp and nondescript. At number 8 we've got 2017. So this autumn's a little bit cold, of course, famous for the remains of Hurricane Ophelia just before my birthday in October 2017. That's quite a wet spell in September as well, a cooler, wetter September, a little bit different for this particular era that we're talking about. And also has a few cold snaps in November as well. Overall, a rather cooler and more mixed autumn, but October is warm. The 7th warmest June is 2018. Very hot summer, of course. The autumn of 2018 is also pretty warm as well, with high pressure to the east, low pressure out to the west, and up comes that southerly flow. At number 6, we go back to 1960. So the 6th warmest June since 1950 is 1960. And autumn 1960, very wet, low pressure from the Atlantic into West Europe, bit of blocking though up to the north. And at number 5, we've got 1950, which is just a very wet autumn, has a very wet September, and it goes on throughout most of the autumn as well. It's one of those autumns that's a deluge, and no doubt there would have been quite a bit of flooding around as well. Okay, number 4 is 1970. So how interesting that we go from 1960 to 1950 to 1970. So anyway, we have this autumn, turning quite mild, high pressure into the south and low pressure to the north, and winds are coming in from a westerly direction in the autumn of 1970. Then we are top 3 now, of course. The 3rd warmest June now from CET since 1950 is 1976, since it was downgraded from 17.0 to 16.9, but it won't be opening up that particular can of worms. And this is a very, very wet autumn. So, of course, we have a prolonged drought that starts at the end of 1974, goes through most of 1975, and it goes through certainly the spring and summer 76 as well. By the end of that autumn, much of the rainfall deficit had already been made up. So phenomenally wet autumn in 1976 with a lot of very welcome at the time rain. At number 2, we've got 2023. So this autumn, of course, brings in, well, Wesley is rather an unsettled autumn after that hot June. Has a really hot September, though. So June and September have the same CT in 2023 at 17.0. That's extraordinary for September. And then the rest of the autumn is quite unsettled. And so you can guess what is number 1. Of course, it's going to be 2025. Yes, June 2025 is the warmest CET now for June. So autumn 25, we've got questions to answer. What's this autumn got in store? That's what we're working towards when we release GavsWeatherVids autumn forecast. Right, let's put all that together then. It's how all September's combined. Looking, following the top 10 warmest Junes. Quite an unsettled signal, actually, for these Septembers. Low pressure in from the Atlantic. A pretty strong westerly flow as well. Bear in mind, there will be exceptions. 2003, for example, was a Holland. So everyone, it'll be a video about, or live stream about September. 2003 was a pretty dry September. Now, there will be years that are deviating, doing something different. Overall, unsettled signal for September. So all Octobers combined look like that. Following the top 10 warmest Junes, low pressure west, and also to south, bit of high pressure is up. Yeah, and then all Novembers combined looking unsettled as well. Bring plenty of low pressure in from off Atlantic, bit of blocking up towards Greenland, but it's a mild and wet signal for the November. So overall, it's an unsettled autumn signal, most definitely, with a lot of low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. So after a dry spell, are we going to unleash it? Are we going to unleash it? Not unleash a beast, unleash the Atlantic. We'll see. Okay, we're going to go straight on to our next set of analogues. Of course, we are. So we're going to look at June England Wales precipitation. And we did, in fact, have a June England Wales P of 55.2 millimetres, which was a drier than average June, 78% of average. Interesting that, like for the first half of the month, or up to the middle of the month anyway, the England Wales precipitation actually running a little bit above average, but it did finish up slightly drier than average overall later on in the month. Funny how these quirks can work out. Anyway, for our next set of analogues, and final set of analogues for this update, we're going to be looking at a June England Wales precipitation of 50-60 millimetres, places of course, June 2025 nicely in the middle of that range, and the autumns but followed them. So starting off at with 1952, this is quite a cold autumn. Low pressure over and to the east of the country, high pressure out to the west, winds in from the north-northeast. That of course is following June England Wales precipitation of 50-60 millimetres. And then we got 1957. So this has a wet September, but other than that, I think it's relatively dryish sort of autumn with higher pressure out to west. So things tend to be coming in from off the Atlantic a bit like that. Then we've got 1960. It's back again. Very wet autumn. This one, lots of low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. That's a key year for certainly for June 2025 analysis. Then we go on to 1969. And this is quite an interesting autumn, as it is relatively dry and quite warm as well, with high pressure in from the Atlantic, low pressure to north. Very active hurricane season in 1969. And has a really warm October as well, with a lot of dry weather. And generally, it's quite a warm and dryish autumn that we have there. Long gap then through to 1989, and we have another warm and dry autumn with high pressure right over top of the country, low pressure to north. Very extended summer in 1989. It gets going in the spring, actually in May, and after a cold April, and it's still ongoing even in September and October as well. The peak of the summer, of course, is the 18 Celsius CT July. Then we have another pretty long gap, 2002. So this one's a pretty wet autumn, I think, with low pressure to our south, high pressure up to the north. Has a warm and dry September. Well, CT in the 14, so not overly warm, but quite dry in September. And then we go off into a much, much wetter October and also a wet November as well. Quite a warm but wet autumn, 2002 overall. 2004, again, warm, dry September. October, much more unsettled, a lot wetter there. And then a pretty nondescript November. Winds overall coming in from off the Atlantic like that. And we've got 2005, that one's back again as well. So 1960, 2005 repeating twice for this particular update. Again, I've explained that's a very, very warm autumn. Has late heat waves even into October. Heat wave, is that's comparative to the time of the year, obviously. But like we do have an October heat wave, the temperature getting well up into the 20 Celsius, I think. Has some pretty wet periods at times too, and then turns much colder second half of November. A bit of a flip. 2009 is a very interesting autumn. I think has the driest September October combination for many, many, many years. Not sure how far back you have to go for that, but a lot of years I would have thought. And then maybe 1978, not sure. Then it flips in November, and we go into an exceptionally wet pattern in November 2009. Of course, it's preceding what turns out to be a notably cold winter. And then we've got 2021 as well. So I think this one has another very warm, quite hot spell in September. Otherwise, pretty anticyclonic, but does turn a little bit colder later. A bit of a forgettable autumn after a hot September, maybe that one. 2002, finally, low pressure out to the west, winds in from off the Atlantic like that. So the summer really breaks. It starts wobbling in late August, I think, 2002. But the summer really breaks in early September with spectacular and extreme violent thunderstorms through that first week or so of September 2022. And then the rest of the autumn is generally warm and wet with a lot of low pressure dominated weather. Right, let's put all that together then, finally. So this is how all Septembers combined are looking, following England Wales precipitation of 50 to 60 millimetres. And, well, that one has higher pressure out to the west. So a bit of an anticyclonic signal, actually, for the Septembers. Could we have a drier month then, maybe? All Octobers combined look like that, with a lot of low pressure out in the Atlantic, and winds coming in from west or southwesterly direction, so much more unsettled for the Octobers. And then check out November, that's quite interesting. So we tend to get lower pressure to our south and east, high pressure towards Greenland and Iceland. That brings the wind in from an east or a northeasterly direction. Finally, this is how all autumns combined are looking, following June, England Wales precipitation of 50 to 60 millimetres. So it's, well, because of September, we do have a bit of influence from higher pressure out to the northwest. A drier September is definitely possible there with that data set. But after that, it looks like it's increasingly an unsettled signal, and possibly by November, a rather colder one as well. We shall see. Okay, it's all food for thought, isn't it? It's all part of the fun of the countdown to autumn, and that's another one in the can. So if you've enjoyed this fourth autumn 2025 update, please like, share, subscribe. Thanks so much, everyone, for doing that. Thanks so much to Richard Troll for the gear. Thank you so much to Shrine Brilliant for sorting out the ears. And thanks so much to Terry Scully for being the guiding hand on the shoulder. And thanks so much to #TeamGav for doing an amazing job for us. Well done. Thank you so much, guys. We'll have another autumn update for you next week. The long range is back on Sunday. Right, we're going to be back though very shortly. The 10th 14 day, so come back that a bit later for the what are you talking about, Gav? For the 4th autumn 2025 update. That's all now, and thanks so much.